This video is brought to you by Raycon. What motivates someone to play a video game? Is it the endless strive for personal achievement or needing something to distract yourself from the harsh reality we live in nowadays? But once you hone in on a game that you enjoy playing, it helps to have lots of extra content to keep you busy. It's a sign of a satisfying game when a player wants to complete it and feels driven to accomplish everything that can be done, and as a developer you should probably make them feel good about themselves when they do complete your game. It's a tricky quandary, since you can't have a reward that's incredibly valuable, since 100% completion suddenly won't be very optional anymore, but the opposite, a reward for completion that spits in your face and represents the time you've wasted to get here, worse than having no reward at all. Yeah, that one hurts. More than just pride, that's a deep cut that anyone would struggle to recover from. I'll never complete a game again. It has to be really discouraging for your prospects of completing the next game if the one you've just 100%ed has decided to reward your efforts with a giant middle finger, but there is hope out there, because I have 100%ed my time with headphone wires that I had to untangle all the time, and I've been rewarded with the existence of Raycon in my life, who have sponsored this video with their high quality brand of premium wireless earbuds that should cover up any disappointment you feel of a video game shortchanging you. Just drown it out with some sweet music. If you want some kind of guarantee in life after a game has done you dirty, then frankly you could do a lot worse than Raycon and their exclusive brand of high quality premium earbuds. I've been working with Raycon for a very long time at this point, and I've never had to think for too long about any other brands for earbuds since their products are so well priced, with flawlessly clear sound quality to match their compact and stylish design. Also, they're wireless, so you don't have to spend any time untangling wires, which means you can get back to whatever it is you do for fun these days. They fit perfectly in my pockets, and with celebrity endorsements like Mike Tyson and Melissa Etheridge, people will know just from looking at your earbuds that you're a cool guy who wishes that they had better rhythms so their dancing matched the quality of their earbuds. They start at half the price of any other premium wireless earbuds on the market and sound just as good, if not better, than any competitors. Their newest model, the Everyday E25 earbuds, are their best ones yet, with 6 hours of playtime, seamless Bluetooth pairing, and a more compact design. And with Raycon being extra generous these holidays, they're offering all of you a 15% discount right now, so you can save big on gift shopping. Go to buyraycon.com/rabbit to get 15% off your next order and to get some well-priced earbuds at a very festive discount. Okay then, who's ready to put in lots of effort for a really crappy reward? Completing an open-world video game is not for the faint of heart. These kinds of games are so dense with shit to do that it can often be a full-time commitment to tackle all of this content in a way that doesn't become too overwhelming to stay the course. I haven't got any time for it these days, and to be fair, a lot of open-world games prefer to reward smaller achievements than offer any kind of bonus for literally doing everything. But even the smaller quests can be spread over the entire game world. So even though there's lots to do in Skyrim, you can prioritise the quest lines that you enjoy doing rather than having to scour the land for every tiny detail that might go towards some pointless reward for 100% completion, and honestly, that's perfectly fine with me. Those fucking stones, though? Scattered across the land, demanding an extensive search of every house and cave and hovel if you don't want to rely on a guide? Yeah, it's not worth it. Don't know how it ever could be. No Stone Unturned is just one quest and not exactly representative of anything close to 100% completion in Skyrim, but it does take place across the whole game world and is designed to be a quest that stays with you for a long time, so it feels right to include it for the many ways it fails to feel gratifying. The Stones of Baranzaya are pretty little things that you're going to have to go and find, and I don't really have too many issues with the nature of the side quests since they aren't crazy hidden or require you to do any out of the ordinary exploration. The problems start when you assemble all 24 stones in a crown to make Baranzaya's crown, which you'd hope would become some fancy powerful armor piece with a special perk that makes Skyrim uniquely entertaining in a trivially easy way, but nah. I mean, you're half right, you do get a special perk, but Prowler's Prophet makes it so that you've got a higher chance of finding more gems in chests, which is extremely boring and close to useless considering that you've been all over the map and likely have some impressive resources and cash, especially if you've been exploring the world organically without the use of a guide. For an overarching quest that should take most of your playtime to complete, this is pretty appalling. You got all these Daedric artifacts and you couldn't put one onto the end of this quest for a bit of fun. Throw me a bone, Bethesda. You know, at some point, they've got to stop making Pokemon games, or at least in the future, Game Freak have to look at themselves and think, hey, we've made 22,000 Pokemon and still haven't given an evolution to every single type. Maybe we should call it a day at some point. We can't seriously expect everybody all the time to catch every single Pokemon. You know, shit, I got other things to do, man. Pokemon has had a curious relationship with 100% completion. The existence of a Pokedex for documenting all your new critters kinda swings the argument in the direction of catching as many of them as possible, in some desperate attempt to have your efforts validated, but so often in the past there hasn't been much of a reward waiting for you should you complete the Pokedex. Many would argue that you don't need a reward since it's such a massive undertaking in recent games that hiding any kind of significant reward behind catching 600, 700 Pokemon would be crazy, and yet Game Freak started offering something more substantial in the form of the Shiny Charm. Now you can enjoy your retirement from ever catching Pokemon ever again by having an easier time hunting for shiny Pokemon. That's pretty nifty. Nice work, everybody. Wasn't always the case though, since older games didn't have extra rewards and Gen 1 didn't even have shiny Pokemon yet, so it falls to the diplomas to help justify putting so much effort into your Pokedex, and these aren't so great. But hey, at least you could print yours out in Gen 2 thanks to the Game Boy printer and use it as an easy way of making yourself seem very attractive. Dude, you got a Celebi? Oh, that's so hot! Pokemon Red and Blue weren't so lucky though, and while you could argue that this was at a stage where completing the Pokedex was novel enough to be its own reward, but you try telling that to anyone who had to jump through so many hoops to get this far. As far back as the first generation, Game Freak was set in their decision to make certain Pokemon exclusive to different versions of the same game. So if you want an Electabuzz or a Ninetales, you need a specific version that gives you those Pokemon, and will need to do some trading with friends to have a chance at completing the Pokedex. But even when you do, your reward is a single screen that tells you something that you already know, that you own all the Pokemans, and it took quite a lot of effort to get this far. It's such a hollow victory that thankfully got better with every future generation, so Game Freak eventually became aware of how much of a waste of time it was, but it's not the best precedent to set around a goal that became the franchise's slogan until 2003. Why would I catch them all if I'm not properly rewarded for it? Clearly these Pokemon aren't important enough. If open world video games are hard work for 100% completion, then you'd imagine that an open world game that I adore to pieces would help to soften the blow, maybe? You'd think so, but despite my love for all things Breath of the Wild, there is a limit to what a boy can put up with in pursuit of 100% completion. This game is kinda wonderful for how much fun it can be to get lost in its dense overworld and stumble across something amazing or genuinely quite terrifying, and as soon as someone told me to turn the minimap off, I felt like I ascended into a higher plane of understanding of why Breath of the Wild was so enjoyable. There's a few metrics by which the game tracks your completion, and the 120 shrines are a fairly hefty undertaking on their own, considering the effort it takes to track them down and complete their trials, but perhaps if that was it, I wouldn't be talking about this game at all. Then again, maybe the land of Hyrule would feel significantly empty if there weren't 900 Korok seeds to find as well. That's a hell of a lot of leafy people. A common complaint against Breath of the Wild, and really any open world video game out there, is that the vast overworld is empty and doesn't really have enough content in it to encourage someone to want to explore the area you have to play in. I sense the Korok seeds were an attempt to fix this, because technically there is now stuff to do in every tiny corner of the world, but not really. You know, there is, but it's not as entertaining as something actually original and interesting. I suppose it depends on how high your standards are for puzzles. It's tricky to discuss Korok seeds because the headline has always and will always be the fact that few people will ever find all 900 of them. It's not an impossible task by any means since guides exist on the internet, but it's so mind-numbingly tedious that there could never be a reward that would justify all this effort. Korok seeds on their own are already fairly rewarding since the Dancing Broccoli wants an ever-increasing number of them to upgrade your inventory, but that number taps out at 441 Korok seeds, so roughly half of the total in the game. Having 900 makes it so that you don't have to comb the environment too hard to get every upgrade, but it's still a massive number and still something that has a reward associated with it. Your prize for painstakingly exploring every square inch of Breath of the Wild for Korok seeds is Hestu's Gift, which is a golden swirl of poop given as a gift for spending way too long doing something that gets boring after a short amount of time. It's like constipation, in a way. I sense that's the point though, and while Hestu's Gift is useless and borderline insulting for the effort required to get it, Breath of the Wild has other pointless rewards for knocking out other completion marks like the Compendium, but this hits differently. The director of the game confirmed in an interview that Hestu's golden turd was set up from the start as a joke, and that every Korok seed came out of a Korok's butt, which is a wonderfully stupid thing to think about, but a pretty massive slap in the face if you dedicated time to this. At least I'll know if they come back in the sequel. If we ever get the sequel. Up until this point, I wouldn't say that anything I've mentioned is too tricky to obtain. I mean, of course, if you do anything for long enough and really get yourself excited for what might be at the end and you feel let down, it's going to feel at least a little bit insulting, but the dynamic changes quite a lot with harder video games. If you're putting even more effort in just to finish something, then you better pray that there's the right kind of reward at the end. I've never been one for pursuing 100% completion in Crash Bandicoot games. I mean, I love platformers probably more than most, but I fucking suck at these games, and so I take what I can and try to get out with as much pride and patience intact as possible, because hey, the base game is pretty hard on its own. I sure as shit don't want to find out what it's like to beat every level and find every gem and realize that there could never be a reward that would make me feel good at my achievements today, and the time I've spent dying repeatedly. So I've learnt my lesson and know how to get the most fun out of these games, which means that I didn't go anywhere near trying to complete Crash Bandicoot 4, and from what I can tell, I was unbelievably right to jump ship, because you're not just pursuing 100% completion, you're after 106% completion. Oh, I can smell the bullshit from here. Crash 4 is a fine game to play under usual non-completionist circumstances, but as soon as you start looking at the 43 levels and think that you should start looking for gems in all of them, you begin a torturous, time-consuming journey that has you search for very well-hidden gems in just so many boxes. Do you want to go looking for 500 boxes, some of which are hidden slightly off-screen, so you'll reach the end of a disappointingly large number of levels with 1 or 2 boxes missing from your total? Yeah, I'm fine, thanks, but also fuck you. Fuck you with anger and contempt, because there's actually 12 gems per level to collect for 106%, since the inverted levels count towards the total as well, and lots of those look ugly as sin, so you better hope that the reward is worth it. How about I hook you up with a hidden reminder that if you're enjoying this video and want to see more, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell for notifications for every new upload? No, it's worse actually! It's a 20-second cutscene for a hidden ending where actually Uka Uka is alive and is spending his time laughing at Cortex. Great, I'm happy for him. Just a fucking shame I'm so very dead inside. Thank fuck that YouTube exists. When I was a kid, I had the time and fortitude to 100% video games without the need of a reward. It didn't matter if I ended up wasting my time because I was young and my time wasn't that valuable, so it didn't matter if I spent the afternoon polishing off the last few remaining stars in Super Mario Galaxy, or meeting Yoshi on the top of the castle in Super Mario 64, or, you know, weeping heavily at Super Mario Sunshine. It's the black sheep of the 3D Mario Hall of Fame for a reason, and while I love it to pieces and have had so much fun in the past with it, I've also had to endure the unenviable task of trying to obtain all the Shine Sprites, of which you only need 50 to beat the game, and even then there's only 96 available through conventional levels. No, if you want to 100% this Mario game, you need to start looking around for 240 blue coins as well, some of which are quite well hidden. Guess I'll clear my schedule then. I don't hate the blue coins as much as I should, because it allows for each of these levels to feel more fleshed out and to encourage the player to look in places within these stages that aren't required by the episodes, but it is still enough of an arduous undertaking that you'd expect something valuable as a reward. Super Mario Galaxy lets you unlock Luigi for getting 120 stars, but he's not even in Sunshine, so I guess you'll have to settle for a postcard that appears once you've beat the final boss again and sit through the credits. Ironically, hoping that you have a relaxing vacation having spent so many hours draining every ounce of joy out of this game. Yeah, I'm sure I'm gonna have a great holiday now that I bought 24 Shine Sprites from that stupid Tanuki, and yet no one's gonna question why he has all of those? Not even the guy who I get the sunglasses from for getting like 25% completion. That's a better reward than a fucking postcard. Why does it feel like I'm putting all this effort in and no one seems to care? I don't even want a holiday anymore. Fuck you! This is RabbidLuigi, and I'm wondering if this is some kind of big brain move from Nintendo as a reward for beating everything in Sunshine, because postcards, they're not really around anymore, but they were for a spell. Postcards are the sort of thing you send if you want to have a humble brag that you're on holiday. You say, hey look, I'm on holiday. I bet you wish you were on holiday, but you're not, you're at work or doing something really boring. So I'm just wondering, looking at Mario in this picture, has he achieved some kind of enlightenment now that he's completed everything in the game? Is the lack of a reward an attempt to find inner peace? Because I'd much rather play as Luigi. Hi, I just want to give a shout out to my top supporters on Patreon. We have La Cookie Queen, Ramon Alberto, Stefan Wode, Jerome Curiou, Fusion Warrior, Sarah Malion, is it Malon? Christopher Robinson, Joe Creamer, M Phoenix, and Scott Riker. Thank you all for your continued support, and if you want to be a part of this madness, you can go to, patreon.com/RabbidLuigi, where I post things and read out names, and we all generally have a good time. And also, what topic would you like to see me cover next? Leave your suggestion in a comment on this video, because I'll be taking the best ideas and making a poll on my community tab, which you can then vote on to decide what the next video is about. I'll be announcing the winner of the poll over on my Twitter, so make sure you follow me so you don't miss out. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.